when you're a young man trying to improve yourself, often you will come across bottlenecks. What I mean by bottlenecks is that in a certain arc of your life, you will identify one single problem, which, if that gets unclogged, which if that gets solved, literally 80% of the issues you're going through will be solved immediately. And so, in that sense, a bottleneck is the root, like the entangled knot of all things going wrong in your life. And the bottleneck changes depending on how advanced you are in your self improvement journey. For many people, at the start, it's simply no fap, not watching porn, not jerking off 3 times a day. Eventually, that goes on to fitness, diet, all these things. And I've been on self improvement since November of 2021. And similarly, I've went through these bottlenecks again and again. Sometimes it's a girl, sometimes it's literally the exam, and you get my point. And now I'm at an interesting crossroad because my bottleneck is no longer something as objective as not watching porn, as simply forgetting about a girl. It's something deeply subjective and spiritual. Like, if I explain it to you, it will be very hard for you to understand the magnitude of the harm, the magnitude of harm it's causing me, because it might not be as severe for you. It's like you're looking at a 5 year old who simply cannot stop eating chocolates, and you're standing over there thinking, like, what's so great about a chocolate? Like, why are you crying over it? Why are you fighting your parents over it? But to the 5 year old, there must be some sort of aspect, some perspective that makes that chocolate inseparable from his being. Like, having chocolates is really important for him for some reason. Maybe he goes through some sort of trauma. Maybe that's his comforting food. Maybe the sugar has made him a crack addict. But you get my point. Oftentimes, these bottlenecks can be so personal and so subjective that other people do not understand. And similarly, the bottleneck that I am currently facing is embracing boredom. And what I mean by embracing boredom is either doing your work or simply sitting still monastically, thinking about stuff, living life, breathing, looking outside. And I consider myself to be an advanced self improver. Obviously, it's been 4 years since I've been on self improvement. So I do consider myself, not a beginner, at the end of the intermediate stage, almost an advanced self improver. And this thing is just fucking me in the ass right now. Like, even if I set my intention to it that, okay, I will not watch YouTube, I will not listen to music. When my work is done, I will just take a walk. All of this is good in theory, it's good inside my brain, but once I'm 2 or 3 hours into the work, my brain will literally start tweaking out. It will look for any and every sort of escape that I can from the work. And in really sneaky ways, for example, if I'm working, obviously I won't let my brain just start watching YouTube. But to do that, what it does is it will convince me that, okay, I'm hungry. And if I'm hungry, I'll go get some food. And if I get some food, I'll watch YouTube along with that. And so food is used as a soft trigger, like as something that is so basic of our requirements in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Food is literally at the very basic, at the very base. And it uses our body's necessary requirements to sort of, fend me against my brain, against myself. And that's just me, okay? My brain is really creative in getting me to fuck up. It will literally do anything but the work. So boredom is this bottleneck that I'm simply not able to defeat as of now. And obviously, that will change. I'm just a 20-year-old on this journey along with you. So, from today, my journey to master boredom starts. And if you don't know what are the benefits of mastering boredom, I'll quickly go through them. The first is obviously the most fundamental, that your dopamine will not be fried. You will find it easier to do the hard work that actually matters. You will find it easier to make progress in life because majority of your competition will be still there, avoiding boredom like the plague, doing shallow work, scrolling on reels whenever they're free, whenever they're commuting from work, all they're doing is listening to music, scrolling, and doing this, it just fries their brain. There's no rest really. It's an overload of stimulus, it's an overload of information. And this gap between you who can embrace boredom and your peer who cannot, it widens as you get older, as this brain rot piles up. So first of all, that's the most basic one, the dopamine pathways. You preserve and train your dopamine pathways to feel motivated to do the work. And second, a really important thing that many people don't know about is whenever you start a new project, a new work, there's always a degree of novelty to it. Meaning, if I've never journaled before in my life and I decide I go out and buy this journal, I go out and buy this pen, and I decide I'm going to journal every damn day, guess what? For the first week or two, it will be really easy and really fun because it's novel. There's novelty to journaling. It's something new, it's something thrilling. I feel proud of myself, I feel good. So I will do that. But once those 2, 3 weeks wear off and the novelty is no longer there, suddenly you get bored. And if you don't know how to embrace that boredom, you will literally just quit these habits. Whenever you are doing these things, a new project, a new goal, the graph will look like this. You're starting, there's a big spike in motivation. That's the novelty. Eventually, that motivation runs off, and now you're at the flat baseline. Majority of the people, they will quit at this flat baseline because they will think, I'm putting in work, I'm not getting results, it's not even fun anymore, I'm not even excited, it's literally plain boring. So why should I do this? They will come up with 100 excuses to quit, and they will. Which is why you will see a lot of intellectuals, a lot of critical thinkers. They're not really able to do much in life because they have a really bad habit of correcting their course every damn 5 minutes if they're not seeing proportionate results of input to output. Whereas someone who decides I'm going to do this and just does it for 100 days, 200 days without thinking that he's not seeing proportionate outputs, even though those outputs are piling up in the background, it's not necessarily in front of your eyes. But someone who is not explicitly thinking every damn second about the outputs he's getting, about if he's making money or not. No, if he decides he's going to do something, he does that over and over and over without without going crazy over the outputs, over the results. They will often make more progress. For example, let's think of your favorite YouTuber. There's a very high chance that they started and they literally, the reason that they beat their competition like other people who started at that time was they were consistent in uploading daily, even if they weren't the best, even if they didn't have the best editing, the best thumbnails. They were consistent in daily uploading. And you have to be a special kind of retard to not learn with repetitions. Like, you don't have to explicitly set and analyze every damn video, every damn repetition you put in, even though that's recommended. But if you don't have the time to do that, if you don't think you can do that consistently, just putting in the reps is way, way, way more efficient than putting in, for example, putting in 10 reps is way more important than putting in 1 rep and then spending the coming 7 days analyzing that rep, analyzing what went right, what went wrong, because quite frankly put, you don't have the data to analyze properly what works and what doesn't work. And second, you're not that smart. If you were that smart, you would be a millionaire or a billionaire or a big YouTuber by now, but you're not. So, like, cut the fucking bullshit. Learn to put in the reps, learn to put in 10 reps, and then sure, spend some time analyzing. Okay, I'm going to slightly shift my trajectory like this. I'm going to use this sentence in the hooks. I'm going to use these thumbnails, which are simple to make but are giving me a good return on my efforts. And so, just pure repetitions, purely getting over that boredom phase, purely raw dogging life. Uh, this will literally bridge that gap between where you are in life and where you want to be in life. And this same bridge will cause majority of your competition, majority of your peers to fall off because it's so damn boring. And if you have not trained your boredom in the modern day where everything is distracting, where everything is hyper stimulant, if you have not trained your boredom, you're setting yourself to be a mediocre, just afloat peasant. You're just training yourself to be average all your life because in the modern day, to really reach the heights that you and me want, the success, the level of success you and me want, there is a silent skill that is boredom, that is patience, that is sticking to something in the long run when everyone has the attention span of a goldfin, what the fuck, of a goldfish. When you train this monastic boredom, you have an edge over people that literally cannot be bridged no matter how much AI or systems or whatever the fuck they're using. Because if you think about it, 200 or 300 years ago, everyone used to be bored. That's why everyone had a better work ethic. Sure, the opportunities weren't there. Not everybody could make wealth like they can now. Even though they work 12 hours, 13 hours a day, they couldn't make that sort of wealth because simply the opportunities weren't there. The wealth came wasn't decentralized. Now it is with the internet, with the creator economy, with the attention economy. It's literally wealth is decentralized. You cannot blame your parents or your grandparents for being poor. You cannot write off the success of other people by saying they had better opportunities. If you have internet, if you're watching this video right now, if you're on YouTube, if you can understand this simple basic level of English, you have all the opportunities in this world. The reason you're not successful, the reason you're not making the amount of money you need to, is simply because you're a lazy fuck, cannot tolerate boredom, who would rather fry his brain like a goldfish in front of a screen, scrolling all day. And don't get me wrong, I do this as well. Like, I'm trying to improve just as well. And only thing is, I'm tad bit more self-aware than you. I'm aware that this is a bottleneck that I need to unclog. And once I do, majority of issues going on with my life, my work ethic, my happiness, everything will be solved. And even in these old days when everyone used to be bored, the most successful people, they were bored the most. Like, if you don't know, Charles Darwin, the father of, you know, genetics, of natural selection, all these theories, he famously wrote four books, four like really important. I'm pretty sure he won the Nobel Prize for it. He won those by simply working 4 hours a day, and in other hours of the day, he would, fry his brain somehow. He would literally just take a walk in his garden, like he had gardens and greenhouses with all these plants and stuff, which is obviously something he's studying. These plants, these animals, basically living organisms, and he would work an hour or two, then he would take a 2 hours walk in his garden just thinking. And it's really magical what a human being can think about. Like, if you're deliberately thinking, if you're not numbing down your intellectual and your emotional quotient by scrolling, by doing anything and everything that prevents you from looking yourself, like looking inside yourself. It's magical what you can accomplish by just literally sitting down and letting your thoughts run, observing your thoughts, categorizing them into a higher self, a lower self, categorizing them into how useful these are, into how pointless these are. Many times when you are sitting down and thinking, you will think of some really stupid things, like things that are putting you down, negative things. And other times you will literally sit down and think of really great things, like randomly you will think about, okay, I've been training chest, my strength has been going up, but I'm not really as sore as I used to be when I started, which means I'm not probably pushing it to the max. I can probably add in a set, I can add in a drop set, and these things which are literally correcting your course in a right way, not in a way that makes you escape the effort, not in a way that tells you, okay, if your chest isn't getting sore, just stop doing bench press. Because that's something your brain will do very often to just get you out of that uncomfortable position. Doing a bench press is hard and it will come up with excuses. Okay, you should replace it with a chest press, you should replace it with this, with that. But when you're actually sitting down and you are categorizing your thoughts as the higher self and as the lower self, the thoughts that will come to you are actually productive. It will not tell you to switch out the hard exercise, it will tell you to make it even harder. If you're not hitting your max potential on that, simply make it harder. And like I said, even the greats were bored. The reason they found so much interest and passion in their conquest, in the conquest of, let's say, conquering nations, conquering science, conquering maths, conquering medicine, was because their work, their mission was the most interesting, the most passionate thing in their life. Nothing else compared. No, obviously they didn't have Instagram reels, they didn't have YouTube, but they did have, novels, they had people, gatherings, all those things. But they consciously decided that being bored will give them the space to think productively and also give them the passion to ensure that their project is the most important thing in their life. And they proved it, like literally these projects we're talking about of these important people from the past, they literally changed the world. Their boredom, their thinking, their monastic discipline, and taking care of their dopamine literally changed the entire course of the world. They discovered theories that caused wars, literally. Like, if you think about it, everybody used to think the world was flat and all these things, the Abrahamic religion things, the things written in scriptures that the world is flat and there's a mountain at the end of the world. And enters Galileo. He has this inclination for science. He doesn't have anything distracting him from that science. He makes a telescope. He discovers Jupiter and its moons. He discovers the Earth is not flat, it's spherical, it's round. And that changes the course of the world. In fact, he loves his discovery so much, he's ready to speak that in front of the church, which controls everything, and say that no, your book is wrong. I'm telling you, a single human, I'm telling you the earth is spherical. And he got put in jail for that. The conviction was so strong, like the Eureka movement, famously the scientist or the philosopher, mind me, I don't remember the whole thing. I've read about it in school, but he's sitting there naked in his bathtub, thinking of something, literally. In his bathtub, he doesn't have music on. He's again, frying his dopamine. He's literally sitting there in the bathtub and he's thinking of his project, of his passion that he's literally, probably he just did that, and he's now taking a break. He's now done for the day and he's sitting in the bathtub. And still he's thinking of that. Still he's productively thinking of that. And everything just clicks. And he screams, Eureka, Eureka. Like, I found it. And he jumps out of the bathtub naked and runs down the street absolutely naked. Like, you have to understand the level of heat, the level of passion inside that man's head, that he's ready to run naked on the streets because he figured out something in his project. Like, how important, how interesting that passion, that project has to be for him, that he's screaming Eureka like a madman, running out of the bath completely naked, running to the king to explain to him, oh, yeah, I remembered the story. He had to basically, the king commissioned a crown, and he suspected that the jeweler, he used not just gold but also silver to sort of, cut out a sneaky commission for himself, that he saved, let's say, 10, 15 grams of gold and supplemented it with silver. And so the king asked his best scientist, like the best court advisor, that I want to know if this is pure gold or this is adulterated. And at that time, they had no way of telling, because the weight is simply the same as just the gold one. And so then he figured out in the bathtub, when he's laying in the bathtub and he's seeing the water flowing out when he dips his hand, and he figures out basically density and the Archimedes principle. I think that was Archimedes, the guy who screamed Eureka. But you get my point. Boredom will be your superpower in this modern era where everyone is just a distracted roadblock. Like, you will not find competition in this world, because literally once you train this skill, people are not your competition. They're just roadblocks on the way that you have to just, dodge across. And this is something you can train. How? Well, that is something I'll be doing myself. But if you're someone who is interested in this, the simple, most important thing is start with micro boredom. Set down a 30 minutes block of time. And in that block of time, all you have to do is either do the work, do the boring work that you set yourself to do. If you don't want to do that work, just sit there still, stare at the wall until eventually staring at the wall becomes more boring than your work, and then you switch back to the work. This is the step one, and I won't really lay down the whole roadmap right now, because I don't really want to give away all this information without first testing it myself, and second, just have you think, okay, you know everything. No, you don't. Just knowing things is not half the battle. That's a big misconception, that knowing things is half the battle. No, it's fucking not. Practicing it, training it, putting in the reps, that is the battle. There's no half battles that you're winning by knowing something, unless you're putting it down in practice, unless you're gritting your teeth and just going after it. And so, if you're a young man like myself on self improvement, and boredom is your bottleneck, dopamine is your bottleneck, and just fixing this one thing will greatly ease up your life, will greatly lead to more progress. Starting today, set intentions for these micro boredom time blocks. Set down what work you have to do, a boring work. And if not that work, just sit still, look at the screen. That's your task for the day. That's my task for the day. I'll meet you tomorrow. I will update you, probably, if that's the video I'm making. But yeah, you can take my word for this. I will train my boredom today. I will get shitload of work done, and also I will train again my boredom. Neurons that fire together, wire together. If you train your neurons to sit still and to be bored and to let them run, this action will become more and more natural to you. This is called neuroplasticity. It's the reason why humans sit atop the food chain, because they can adapt, they can make new neural pathways, they can alter behavior, they can plasticize, like the property of plastic to repolymerize, to be malleable, to be ductile. That's a human brain. Obviously, The deeper you go into bad habits, the more it gets adapted that way, meaning your brain is more adapted to the bad habit than someone who's never. If you're a chain smoker, your brain is much more efficient at getting a cigarette out, clicking your lighter, taking a puff, than compared to someone who's never smoked in their life. They will find it awkward, they will find it a bit more hard, they will probably cough when that smoke enters their lung. But if you're a habitual smoker, if you're a chain smoker, your brain will literally stack all these habits, taking out your cigarette, clicking your lighter, all these things, and it will be really efficient at it. But the same thing goes the other way. If you train your brain to do something good, like a bench press, you doing a bench press will be a lot more smooth compared to someone who is new to the gym, because literally your brain has all the neural pathways for a bench press. Okay, lie down, set your eye level to the bar, arch your back, set your feet on the ground, hold the bar at this length, hook your grip, unrack, take it slowly down, touch the chest, explode up. My point is, what the fuck? Boredom is something you can train and you will train if you're. What the fuck? You can train and you will train if you're serious about self improvement, if you're serious about having an edge in this modern world. You will do that. And I think this video has gone on for long enough. This is my first episode of Mastering Boredom. And the task for today, set out a work block that is full of boring tasks, and then either do that task or just sit still, look at the wall. I expect you, if you watched this far, to also follow that and update me down in the comments. I'll reply to you. I'll let you know how my work block went. And yeah, let's improve together. Let's conquer this modern world together. Let's conquer these distractions by becoming the best version possible. Yeah, that's about it. See ya.